Jessa is going to try to do a live stream. I haven't done a live stream in a long time, and I'm not sure that all this stuff even works anymore. Audio. Are we still not? Is audio still not working? Audio worked in the beginning. Let's see if this microphone is not plugged in very well. Have you tried turning it off and on? So I can, that looks red, red looks bad, that looks red, red looks bad. There's just something up with this cable. Let's troubleshoot. Let's try not touching it. All right. That looks like you guys should be able to hear me. It is tough with this mask. Let's see. Can you hear me? You need a new mic. Yes, I do. It's crackling. No! Audio is good. Stop moving the cord. All right. Warning. Check the video resolution. Okay. Open widget. Not optimal. Stream is healthy. Sounds good. It's working now. All right. Then we're going to just be real still. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's challenging when you're talking to a camera and you know that there's a bunch of people that are watching you at home. It's hard for the kids because they're being broadcast to the rest of the classroom, so they can't just, quietly pick their nose in the back. Like, it's tough times. So let's see if we can. Yeah, is that a hardship? We got some folks here behind the green screen that I can hear that you guys can't hear. And let's see what we can do. So let's jump in with Dannette's phone. Dannette is from Texas. And let's see if we can read her notes. So Danette gave us permission to do video. Coronavirus, heat the microphone. Do you have an air-on chair? Yes, I do. Of course, I'm a professional. Of course, I've got an air-on chair. I don't know if it's really that great, though. I had to replace the little armrests, which is annoying. All right, let's zoom in and let's read. This is a sad one. We'll see if we can recover it. So Danette says that this is a long time ago. So she's been hanging on to this phone for a year. Her phone went out while she was on a phone call. So sudden death while you're using it. The screen went black, and it has not been able to turn back on. She did not back up her photos or videos or anything else. She tried to go to Apple. And now this is interesting. Apple referred me to iFixit. That's very interesting. The rep there said that the phone carries the same memory chip as a Mac Air. What? That's an odd thing to say. I need to find somebody to work on it. I have held onto the phone because I wasn't sure who to contact. Oh, this February, my middle son passed away unexpectedly. I'm really sorry to hear that, Danette. That is every mother's worst nightmare. And now more than ever, the photos and videos are so important to me. If possible, I would like all the data recovered, but at this point, photos would be wonderful. Videos would be an added bonus. All right, so Danette's got a dead. What is this? This is an iPhone 6s Plus, and it's really important to her. So let's see what we can do. Now, I've missed the live stream format, and pressure's on, says Sam. Yes, pressure's on. So I miss being able to talk to you guys through chat. So tell me what's been going on with you guys while I open up this phone, which means I need to start by finding the right screwdrivers. Here we go. So what has been going on with you guys? Hopefully this one will be recoverable, because it will be a sad 2020 live stream if we cannot recover these really important photos for Dannette. We're going to let her down. That's going to be really, really demoralizing in an already demoralizing year. But it does feel good to be back in the shop, at least what we can do. Error 14 is going on, says Aiden. Yes, it is. Error 14 continues on. We did hear from some people saying, hey, what about using different temperature heat? So we have been exploring that so far. Nope, we haven't been able to recover any of them, just trying different, just trying to do the update with some 60 degrees to 70 degrees, 80 degrees. None of that has worked, although we did hear 2 cases where someone said that they had success. But every now and then you also have sort of not classic error 14. So who knows? And it used to be back in the iPhone 5C days where they couldn't pass update that you could heat them up and they would be able to go every now and then. But it was pretty unusual. So it's not really going to help out a lot of people. But it definitely is sort of one thing to think about. If you have any ideas about error 14, feel free to let us know. We're willing to try anything. All right. That phone has been opened before. Yes, it has. It has a 0-cycle premium replacement battery compatible with iPhone 6 Plus. This is not an iPhone 6 Plus. That doesn't matter. A 6 Plus and a 6S Plus can use the same battery. But yes, we see that this phone has had some work done. All right. So let's see. Is there anything jumping out at us with the screen? We got cracked tempered glass, normal looking screen, nothing super green or anything. And so the complaint was that it had sudden death while she was using it. So let's go ahead and get this one all the way stripped down. So we'll take the board out. Can you back up, upgrade NAND, and restore from backup? What would happen? Well, you can't back up an error 14 phone because it doesn't back up. That's kind of the whole point. Are you talking about this phone? You can't back up a phone that doesn't turn on. So if you upgrade NAND and restore from a backup, that doesn't really help you, because you certainly could do that, but that doesn't really solve any problems, right? If you would like to increase your storage, you can make a backup and upgrade your NAND and increase your storage. That's a perfectly viable thing to do. But that doesn't help you if you don't have a backup and you're after data recovery. All right. Hello from Canada. Has the frame been bent or tweaked at all? Asks Q's Tech Service. Hard to say. I would say normal looking bend. So yeah, it's not perfectly straight, but it doesn't look like it went in a car door or anything. So we'll say normal appearance for bend. And we'll all take a look under the microscope. But I'm not seeing no bend is really jumping out at me. This isn't like, you can kind of see like there's a little bit of, rocking on the camera lens, but nothing that jumps out at me as, whoa, holy bend, or anything like that. Can't wait to see what the trust-based multimeter says. Yes, one day, I wonder when, let's take bets. When will it be that JASA finally gets around to upgrading from the trust-based multimeter, which is a big channel favorite, to the on-screen multimeter like the cool kids have? I have one right here. Look at this. I have an on-screen multimeter. It's right here. Uh-oh, don't want to mess with the audio. See? It's right here. Never spent the minutes to try to figure out how to get it hooked up, because I love the trust-based multimeter. It's always there. It doesn't require anything. You don't have to enable it. You don't have to. You can use your regular multimeter that you're used to. You don't have to remember to turn it off. Those ones don't have an auto off feature, I believe. All right, so we've got this board nearly out. Hello, dear Jessa, says Satar from Iran. Well, that is seriously far away. What is the weather like in Iran today? Because here in Rochester, New York, it is cold. It is cold enough here in September that I actually made a fire in the fireplace 2 days ago. Mark Schaefer will be coming up from Florida for Practical Board Repair School, which will be happening starting tomorrow, September Practical Board Repair School. And he is going to not pack shorts. That's what our weather is like. Let's go ahead and jump under the microscope to look at this board together and see what we can see. Is the microscope working? Yes. Now we got one of the exciting things we've been working on. We're gonna make a camera recommendation coming up probably in the next couple of videos. We've got a couple of cool video ideas that we're working on. And we're going to make a camera recommendation. We finally found one, so you'll be able to look for that and look for that on iPad Rehab Supply Store. All right, so now let's go over this board looking for water, technician damage, since we know it has been opened up before. Nothing. This is just a little bit of foam probably stuck on my bench. You know, somebody's poked it before, but that could have been me. Somebody's been peeling this up. This is half gone. I didn't do that, so I don't know what's up with that. Nobody's ever taken off this sticker, so that's good. No big prior repair attempts, but I don't see anything. This looks like a beautiful, gonna work just great. Couldn't possibly have anything wrong with it. No water, no bend, no long screw damage, no dudes knocked off the board, no nothing. Ain't got nothing wrong with it. iPhone 6s Plus, so that's what we have. So we'll just fire it up and it'll work, right? Okay, crisp visual exam. Yes, all right, now let's go to our electrical exam. Let's go to our electrical exam. You know what I did this week? I went for a physical exam. First time I was trying to watch out for cancer and take care of myself. So I'm 46 years old now. I went to the doctor for the first time in 10 years. And I got all the way into the waiting room. And I got all the way to the exam room. And then they pissed me off and I bolted. I left. She was telling me that I was late for my appointment, which wasn't true. I am late for a lot of things, but I was not late for that appointment. And I highly objected to being accused of being late, and so I said, you know what, screw this, I'm leaving.
Did she mean you were like 20 years late?
She might have meant I was 20 years late. She might have meant 10 years late. Maybe that's what she meant. No, I got there at 8:25 for an 8:30 appointment, and the sign on the door said you got to call the number for them to let you in because of COVID. So I call the number, and the recording says we don't answer the phone until 8:30. So I just waited until 8:30, and then I called back, and it was still the recording. And then at 8:35, I called back, and it was still the recording. And only then did I just wait through the entire press 1 if you need a refill until I got to the end. And then it said press 1 to talk to a receptionist, press 1. And then I said, I've been out here for like 10 minutes. And then that was my fault. And then bad things happen. All right, let's go ahead and do our physical exam. We're done. Electrical exam coming up with, ding, the on-screen DC power supply. But I got to get rid of that logo. Goodbye, logo. All right, so here we go. this is the on-screen DC power supply. Here is my DC power supply squid, and let's see if we can watch us do this kind of down here. Here is the board, and I've got that. Let's make that a nice even, how do I do this? There we go. Yeah, 4 volts. That's a good battery voltage. So I've set 4 battery volts that we're going to apply right here into the battery connector. And we see high current consumption. Yay! We like to see high current consumption because that means there's a problem. There's a short circuit probably on the main power rail, because that's one of the ways that you just get sudden death, which is really interesting. You know, she's just using her phone, and then somewhere on the board, some capacitor or chip just feels like being a wire. This is great. This is great news because we like to see problems that we probably can solve. So now we've got to figure out, do we actually have a short on the main power rail? So we're going to use the truss-based multimeter. We're going to flip it over. We're going to find a favorite spot on the main power rail to test with the multimeter. And I'm going to tell you what the multimeter says so that you too can follow along. Now you'll have to trust me that I'm going to tell you the truth, what the multimeter actually says. So let's do it. We're going to find our favorite VCC main spot on the iPhone 6s Plus, which are these guys, and we'll measure both sides of these. And one side is 0, 0, 0 resistance to ground, and the other side is also 0, 0, 0 resistance to ground. So now we have confirmed that we do indeed have a short circuit somewhere on the VCC main rail. But where? I don't know. Let's see if we can look at ZXW to tell us. So I got to go on a hunt for ZXW. So let's get rid of this. There we go. And let's see if we can get ZXW. James says, are you able to explain a short on a circuit? I've never really been able to understand how to detect a short and how to measure for one things. And James Haycock just sent us 5 British pounds. So we will stop and we will explain what a short circuit is. So a long circuit is easy to understand. In a normal iPhone, a long circuit would be you press in the voltage, the push. You're pushing a pressure just like wind or water pressure, air pressure in a tire. And that fills up the balloon that is the long circuit of the iPhone. And it does nothing until you tell it by pressing the power button or plugging in USB to go ahead and have each chip use that pressure to do a little bit of work. So that voltage, that pressure, is used by the chips to send electrons along their way. And that's how everything's supposed to normally work. And just if you blew up a balloon and you were kind of going tss, 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 all day long, you would eventually use up that voltage, that pressure in the battery until it went down to 0, and then you'd have to recharge. Now, in a phone that doesn't have a long circuit, it has a short circuit. A short circuit means that somewhere in the balloon there's a hole, and the hole allows the electrons to just go straight through to ground without having to traverse the long circuit. It has a short path to ground, an inappropriate path to ground. So let's review that. A long circuit has a long way to go before being able to reach the destination, which is ground. That's the normal case. A short circuit is when you have an inappropriate short path to ground so that the energy goes straight from the battery straight to ground, and that's why we see that high current consumption. Current is miles per hour. And we see a massive amount of energy just quickly going straight to ground for free without having to go through all the intricate circuitry of the phone. So that's what a short circuit is. Something is touching ground. You can think of it like a hole, or you could think of it like any one of your other analogies. You know, you've got a hose, it's got a hole in it. You've got a balloon, it's got a hole in it. You've got a wire, it's got a hole in it. And that hole is touching ground. So our job is to find where's the hole to ground and plug the hole. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. 100,000 American doll hairs. What are we talking about? Do dead CPUs exist on iPhone? Yes, they do. All right, so now where are the possible places where the main rail could have a hole in it to ground? And the answer is any capacitor or any chip, because of all little dudes on the board, capacitors and chips are the only ones that can fail in a way that make them start talking to ground inappropriately. So that's what we're going to look for. So let's look at what all our candidates are by going to ZXW. So I'm going to try and open up ZXW for 6S Plus and make it so that you guys can see it. And we'll see if that can work. All right, I've got ZXW open for me. Now what happens if I say, hey, ZXW open for you? Fantastic. All right, and I'm back. Hello, everybody. All right, so now this is ZXW. Look at that. See, what I'm looking at right now is a camera and a big on-screen display. I have no idea what's behind me. There's a green screen back there. So right now, I'm the weatherman. Like, I have no idea. So right now, we're going to look at, is that working for you guys? I have no idea. We're gonna look at the iPhone 6S Plus board and see if there's a cold front coming in. We're going to look for a hurricane that's causing a VCC main short. All right, so here's how we're going to do it. Let's look at the spot where I just measured. Do you guys remember these two little guys? So I measured right here and found that everywhere in red, the main power rail, that's all part of my balloon. And one of these spots here in red, one capacitor or a chip is touching ground. So if you just let's look at one of these guys right here. Let's look at C2123. C2123 is a capacitor. In gray, see the gray? That is ground, that's normal. And the other side is the main power rail. So C2123's job is to have one side on ground and one side on the main power rail. And what it does is, through magic, it allows noise in that main power rail to jump across and go to ground. But it doesn't actually touch ground. It just uses magic to allow noise in the circuit to jump across it, C2123, and get to ground. So how could it possibly fail? If inside it fuses and becomes a wire to ground, then that's the cause potentially of a short circuit. So now everything in the line can just go straight to ground through C2123. But we don't know if C2123 is actually the cause of the short to ground in this device, because it could equally be C2124, another capacitor, or it could be C2126 or C3832, right? It could be any one of these, any cap or chip. So that's a lot of possibilities. All right, so how are we going to figure out which one it is? And for this case, because we don't see anything, we're going to look around, and then we're going to try to use heat as a way to detect. Usually, the thing that is the inappropriate path to ground is also the thinnest wire, and therefore it will get hot. So let's see if that's the case. So, yeah, seek time. Yeah. It's time to use the thermal camera. Or we could use our face, or we could use freeze spray, or we could use receipt paper, or any number of things. So let's see if you guys can. Let's get rid of ZXW, and let's go back to the microscope, and we are now going to just sort of look around a little bit and take these sticker shields off. Now, if we're lucky, we'll just see something that looks burned up. That is on the main power rail, and then we'll be good to go, because all we got to do is get rid of the short circuit. I don't see anythanything that really is jumping out at me in this area, so not good. Go fish. All right, receipt paper, that's new. Yeah, you can use thermal paper. You can use, not so much in iPhones, but in larger devices, you can boil alcohol. So you can throw alcohol on here and see where the hot spot where alcohol boils. There's lots of ways to try and use heat detection methods, but far and away, the best one is the Seek thermal camera with iPad Rehab's custom macro lens available at store.iPadrehab.com, where it's really has that really crisp precision. All right, so let's look around here. Anybody look burned up? Anybody look like they've recently been on fire? Any of these guys look like they just took a trip to California? I don't see anything. Not good. Now, it's possible that the cause of our short circuit is under this shield or under this shield. Now, these ones we have to desolder in order to actually see under there. And I don't want to do that unless I have to. So let's go and hunt first to see, can we figure out where the short circuit. So we are going to see if we can just kind of find it. Let's go back to the hand cam. All right, so we're going to just see if we can get lucky and find the cause of a short circuit, which would be something that gets hot for us. So let's see. I'm going to grab the Seek thermal camera, and I am going to plug it in to my phone and get it to wake up. Alrighty, and then we're going to go on a hunt and look for it. Okay, as a California, iPad Rehab made Brandon laugh. Yeah, California is having a tough time. All right, so now let's see if we can make it so that you guys can see. So this is always kind of challenging to make it so that you guys can see. So right now, we don't have anything plugged in, so nothing's going to get hot. So this is just what a normal looking thermal camera view looks like. So ideally, it would be here. All right, it looks like this. And you can see that, you can see my finger is hot. Right? And you can sometimes see reflections. Now that's not heat, that's just the reflection of the thermal camera. And then it's my job to kind of zoom in and find that exact right resolution, and I can rotate the lens. One day we might do a big comparison of the thermal camera videos. All right, but right now nothing is hot because we don't have anything plugged in. All right, that looks like that will work for us. So let's go ahead and go back to DC power, and we are going to plug in and see if we can see this together. Now this is a challenge for me because it's a little bit further away from me, and I'm 46, which means I'm blind. Anything that is further away from me than just a little bit from my face is totally a black box. All right. So now, I do see something getting hot there. And now I'm going to pulse the power supply. Look, disconnect. See how it goes to 0? So that's just me disconnecting and reconnecting so I can see that pulse. All right, yeah, so now I'm going to pulse it. So that dude is getting hot. But it's a troll. That is the MOSFET troll. And so we have to look. And I have no idea where this is, so I'm looking just the same as you guys. Aha! We found something. Look at that, another hotspot. Now let's see, does that hotspot pulse? Oh yeah. And we can see it. Look at that crisp resolution. Like you can see, okay, yeah, there's a capacitor. And it's right next to those two coils. So that guy. Boom. All right. So now we're going to go investigate to see whether or not that guy is on VCC. Man, just for curiosity, let's find out exactly who he is. So let's go back to ZXW. So we're going to put the camera aside and let's go back and see what ZXW has to say about that dude. Where are you, ZXW? There you are. Now we got to kind of look upside down a little bit. All right. I wish Jessa lived in my country. I have 3 iPhone 6 for repair. I think the capacitors are gone. Well, usually if there's a problem with a capacitor, it's just one. So grab a seek and find it if it's a VCC main short. But don't go going nuts on this stuff, right? The phone that I just finished working on before hitting start stream was a phone that had a very solvable problem that the technician overlooked, and then they went on to destroy the board and ended up overheating the CPU. So be careful. If it's somebody's data and you're a fan of this channel, don't work on it unless you have plenty of experience. So don't ever use somebody's memories. It is fun to recover data. I love it. But that's not a place to learn. You want to learn on phones that aren't important to anybody and then apply those skills to data recovery phones. That's really, really important. I hate it when people make recoverable phones unrecoverable. All right, ZXW. So where were we looking? So we are going to look, there's these two coils right here. These two coils. And right next to the two coils, there's this little posse of 6 dudes. And this one right here is the one that got hot, C4000. So C4000 is indeed a capacitor that, just like the one, our example, is supposed to have the top side here on VCC main, the bottom side ground, but separated. And through magic, his normal job is to allow noise from VCC main to jump across and go to ground. But it looks like C4000 has become a wire, in which case you're sending everything in VCC main straight to ground. That's a short circuit so that the energy doesn't have to go through the entire phone to power everything. So what should we do? Well, this guy has an inappropriate path to ground. Let's just try to delete him. Let's delete that guy. And if he is, in fact, an inappropriate wire to ground, if we just remove him, we will break that wire to ground and relieve the short circuit. Now, everybody's going to want to ask, well, don't you have to put that guy back? And the answer is only if it's really easy and no risk. Look at how many different capacitors. They're all doing similar jobs on this one giant rail, just like a whole bunch of light bulbs on a light string, right? So the function of an individual one is pretty minor when there's a whole bunch of them. And the actual technical job of getting a guy replaced can and does damage things and cause a big risk. Wouldn't Dannette be sad if we got this phone to turn on and could get the pictures, but we decided to replace a relatively unnecessary single capacitor and end up overheating her CPU and destroying it? That'd be a tough phone call to make. So I like to err on the side of caution. All right, so let's find that exact guy under the microscope. So where are we going? We are going to go back to microscope. All right, now let's find it. All right, so that it matches exactly ZXW. Now, we already looked here and said, everything looks fine to me. But now that we've used that clue of heat and we can really drill down, yeah, that guy's obviously burned up right there. Hello, buddy. Now, why did this guy just decide that he felt like being a wire? No idea. Look at that. That is pretty beat up. All right, so now there's lots of underfill, this black glue that is around here. So it's going to be a challenge to extricate that guy without overheating things. That's really going to be hard. So what is our strategy? We're going to use the proprietary iPad Rehab short circuit removal tool, the good old X-Acto knife, and we're going to try and just get this guy separated. All right, can you guys see that? Let's see. So easy. Boom. He's gone. There. Now think about what would it take to put another one there? Well, look at this glue everywhere. If I put heat in this area, what's going to happen is I'm going to overheat the underfilled PMU. Heat and underfill are not good friends. What if I tried to use a mini hot tweezers or an iron? Then I'm just going to blob solder and end up bothering all of these other dudes. It's just really, really tight clearance. Look at how a pair of tweezers is compared to this. This is really, really tiny stuff. Did that solve the problem? Let's find out. So we're going to go back to the trust-based multimeter and find out. The 5 o'clock method. Yes, says Spectre. Yes, 5 o'clock method. Invented because it's usually 5 o'clock at Practical Board Repair School when we get to short circuit detection on day 1. And it's the easiest way to get everybody out of class on time. All right. Trust-based multimeter says 0.335 in diode mode with red probe on ground. Boom. That is the normal reading. So we have returned VCC main back to normal. Is that going to be enough to actually get this guy to boot up? Let's find out. So let's head over to the hand cam. And in my experience, having a sudden death VCC main short like this usually is the only thing wrong. And one thing, I don't know why that happens, but one thing that we can notice is that capacitor was next to a coil, was next to 2 coils, and things that are next to coils tend to get hot. In fact, I noticed on the iPhone 7 that Apple, in its design wisdom, took all of those coils and instead of having them all over the board, they gathered them all up into one coil array chip that's surrounded by ground. Why did they do that? I don't know. But one idea might be because these coils in these tight clearance iPhone boards, they do get hot, and then that causes these kinds of failures. And so it may be that they said, why don't we just kind of do a little bit of heat management by gathering them all up and putting them in one area. And that's what they did on the iPhone 7. Maybe they had a completely other different reason for doing that. I don't know. But having something like this, these just individual caps that just feel like they identify more with being a wire, happens all the time. So it's generally a good problem to have, but it seems severe, right? It makes your phone feel like it's totally dead. All right, now let's go for it. Let's go ahead and let's do a full, let's go for it. Let's go all out. Let's do full reassembly before we even test. Let's do it. Let's do a full reassembly, and then, only then, will we test. All right. Is 0.01 amp normal when connecting board on its own to PSU without turning on the device? Well, it depends on your power supply. The answer is yes and no. All right, so I'm going to put this together in a way that is not going to take 100 years by using the microscope to go with my 46-year-old eyeballs. And I love using the microscope. I use it for everything. Look at that. You can put this antenna on like nice and easy. We can make sure that we've got the little camera bracket on the top side instead of the bottom side. So nice and easy. All right. Now what's great about this kind of a problem for Dannette, hopefully she'll be able to get these really important pictures back. And, you know, this didn't have anything to do with like the memory chip or any of that. Apple would have told her your phone is dead and there's no way to get the pictures. And that's a real shame. That's why I like to make these videos, because it's probably going to work. In which case, wouldn't it be a shame for all the people that just go to the Apple store and with their dead phone that really they could fix themselves with a couple of screwdrivers and an X-Acto knife, and be told that the only remaining pictures you haven't seen of your child that unexpectedly passed away are just nothing, gone, nothing you can do? Wouldn't that be terrible? That would be terrible. So I hope to, make videos like this live stream to show that this stuff really is repairable. All right. Okay, the camera view isn't really showing. Yeah, I know the camera view is not showing because you can either pick one. Jessa puts the board back in without it taking an hour. Or pick 2, I do it over here, which is this is far from me. So I can't see down here. This is too far. This would be me like, here, I'll put the board together for you. I can't do that. I have to look here. So now it's close to me, but you can't see it, but it won't take forever versus the other way around. All right, let's see. All right. Now let's go really crazy and plug in their battery. Now, in my experience, a phone that was working just fine, she's on the phone, and then boom, sudden death because it develops a VCC main short when a cap just decides it feels like being a wire. Usually those, when you plug in a charger, will be able to wake up the battery, and it'll show the low battery icon for a few minutes, but then it'll boot up because the battery usually isn't actually dead. But we'll see. I don't know about these aftermarket batteries. All right, here we go. We're going all the way. With its own screen, its own charge port, its own everything, its own aftermarket battery that looks a little sketch. Let's see what happens when we plug in the charge port. I see nothing. Oh, I see the low battery icon. You see it? All right, now let's see. Hey, it's going to work. It's going to wake up. It is happening. It's going to boot all the way up. Right. Are you going to show Samsung devices on stream? Well, Mark does all of our Samsung work, so we do a ton of Samsung devices. And Mark comes up once a month. So Mark lives in Florida. He comes up to teach Practical Board Repair School. And if we get a good Samsung case when he happens to be here and we're not too exhausted after teaching all day to do a live stream, then absolutely yes. Yay! It booted up. But does Danette remember her passcode? Now, she gave us permission to film her repair. So let's see. Yay! We got it! Danette, it's great news for you. It looks like this phone is going to go back out working. So you'll be able to get this back and get all of those pictures, and it should be a really nice recovery for you. So I'm so glad that you trusted us with your data, Dannette, and hopefully this is going to bring you a little bit of peace. I know there's really nothing better than being able to get those pictures back when you've lost someone and just getting to see those sort of unexpected, kind of gifts from beyond that really, really are so meaningful. And I love being able to do that for people. All right, so this one is it for me, and I want you to let me know in the comments if you like the live stream. Sometimes they get to be a little bit long. We've got some other video ideas planned to show you some things that we've noticed while doing repairs. But now that the kids are back in school, hopefully I'll be seeing you guys more often on chat. So thanks for bearing with us this whole time. And we're going to go call Danette with the good news. And I will see you next time.